Okay. So, Lindsay, we just finished hearing for 2 hours, people's input on with the Michigan Civil Rights Commission about whether or not to amend this Elliot Larsen Civil Rights Act to include the LGBT community. As a member of Holland is Ready, what was your assessment of how this hearing went?
Well, I think they did a good job of hearing both sides out. I think that there is a lot of fear on some people's part, fear of what would happen if the Elliot Larsen Act would be expanded. But I think there's also a lot of positivity. I think there's a lot of people in Holland who see the need for this, who see the need for protections for members of the LGBT community, and who see the value that it would bring to our businesses, to our community, and for our families within this community.
One of the claims that some people were making who opposed the amendment to Larsen was that there's no evidence of harm. I mean, what do you know? What have you learned? In fact, even you sort of mentioned in your comments tonight that there is people are being harmed. Could you speak a little bit about that in terms of what you've learned through Holland is Ready about what you're hearing from people in the community?
Yeah, I think that absolutely there is harm being done. I think that it is easy for some people to ignore it because often the harm comes in, like I spoke about, people leaving this area, talent leaving this area, money leaving this area, people being afraid to come here. We're a tourist town and people don't want to come here and they don't want to bring their money here. So there's economic harm in that way. And I think there's harm to families and individuals who are experiencing discrimination. One of our members spoke about how his son doesn't feel comfortable coming here, who can't live here because of the discrimination he faces. So I think that harm is very real for people in this community.
Since the Holland City Council, voted against that recommendation to include the LGBT community in its anti-discrimination ordinance to be protected against discrimination, what's Holland is Ready? What have you been doing the last year in terms of a strategy to try to kind of counteract the City Commission's position?
Well, education is a big part of what we're doing. Education and outreach, reaching out to people in neighborhoods and literally knocking on their doors and letting them know that right now in Holland, people who are gay and transgender are not protected in employment and housing. And it's shocking how many people are not aware of that, who were completely unaware that that could happen. So we're reaching out to those people, we're letting them know, and we're finding people who think that people who are part of the LGBT community deserve these protections and have a right to these protections. And so we're seeking to find those people, grow our base of support, and then also continue to reach out and educate people who might not be sure how they feel about this, or as we saw tonight, a lot of people didn't really seem to have any understanding of how this would impact them, their churches, for instance. And I think people need to realize what this law actually means and how it's actually going to play out.
I mean, once the Civil Rights Commission takes into all this information into consideration and comes up with their own recommendations at the state level, I mean, who knows how long it'll take for, whether or not there'll be any action on the amending the Elliot Larsen Civil Rights Act. So, what angle or what strategy are you taking in Holland here? What is Holland Ready doing in terms of trying to actually achieve greater equality for the people of Holland, the community of Holland?
Well, legislatively, we're looking at growing our supportive base because we see that this is going to be something that the people of Holland decide, whether that's a ballot initiative or a referendum. And we want to make sure that when it comes to that point in time, we have educated and we have mobilized the people that we know that are out there that support these protections for the LGBT community. And so we're looking at making sure that we have identified that supportive base and that we can mobilize them when that time comes.
Okay, great.